Hello everyone. I hope you are having a very good time. I hope my this video finds you all in great spirits. Now, you know that there are some exams which require you to write very good essays, and these essays can be the differentiating factor between a candidate who gets selected and a candidate who doesn't. In fact, when you prepare for the essays, it indirectly prepares you for the interview as well. Because in interview, all they ask is, apart from your personality test, it's about a little bit about the general awareness also. And while you write an essay, I told you how to start, how to end. I also gave you an example, and I asked you that I will bring to you, another video in which I will discuss some burning topics, the topics which I feel are quite important for you. And in this video, I have done the same. I will bring to you around 6 topics which I think are quite important, and I will tell you how to write those. Now, to make the best use, whenever I tell you to stop, you pause the video and you write something on your own and then you compare. Only that will help you. If you directly see the points which I tell you, you will be heavily dependent upon luck. Because then what will happen is you will by heart, or you will depend on rote learning. You will mug up what I have written on the slide and you will pray to God that that particular topic comes in the exam. You will not be confident. You will never become confident. So the way to become confident is do as I say. So I'll begin. Now this topic I explained in the previous video, banking technology. Also remember one thing when you write an essay. See, these topics are not mutually exclusive. Now, what is the meaning of this? See, the meaning is you have to relate the topics. If, for example, I am giving you a topic on women empowerment, and I am giving you a second topic, corruption. Let's say I am giving you a third topic, sports, how sports help in development of a person. Then you should try to relate all the three. And how will you do it? How will you do it? You try to find out the sports personalities, who have been inspiration to many. For example, Arunima Sinha, the amputee who has climbed the highest peaks of the world. She does not have one leg and she is an inspiration for many. So this is what this is one woman empowering other women and related to sports. So you try to relate the topics and don't treat these topics as exclusive of each other. They are overlapping. If I give you a topic on a social issue, merge it with the sports, merge it with corruption, merge it with United Nations or anything. The idea is to open your mind up. That is the idea of this topic. Idea is not to spoon feed you. This is not the age when you would like to be spoon fed by a person who is almost as the same age as you. Okay, so I hope the first video helped you in some ways. I saw a lot of positive comments on the first video. I also saw you guys writing some of the topics. So I have picked up 1 or 2 topics from your comments. It's also, and I have picked up 3 or 4 topics from my own understanding of which topics they might ask you. Now, I tell you to pause this video and write about banking non-performing assets. Your topic is banking non-performing assets. Now you know that Indian banks are struggling. Why they are struggling? Because of bad loans. People take the loans, they don't pay back. Farmers take the loans, there is no monsoon, they commit suicide, it becomes a bad loan. And then of course you have people like the great people like Vijay Mallya. They will take the loan and they will run away. So because of bad loans, which is one of the biggest reason for the underperforming of the banks, and people become willful defaulters. The businessmen become willful defaulters. So our Indian public sector banks have accumulated lakhs of crores of rupees as non-performing assets. So this question will come 100% in the coming exams, especially banking exams, because this is a very serious challenge in front of Ministry of Finance and the governor of the RBI. So write few points, 6 to 7 points, and see if they belong to the great points or they are just the average points. Pause this video right now and wait for 5 minutes. Welcome back after 5 minutes. If you have really taken 5 minutes, then you deserve to see this video if you are honest with yourself, and my best wishes for you in that case. Otherwise, if you are just continuing watching this video without taking the pain to write the points yourself, then you don't deserve. Honestly, you don't deserve. Now, let me tell you some average points. Just listen to my voice and don't look at the screen. So, some of you may have written, well, the banks are making losses. We need to do something about it. The government should do something about it. Ministry of Finance should do something about it. Our monetary policy should do something about it, and the fillers like that, which are strictly average points. Some of you may have written the names of 1 or 2 committees, but they won't help because there was no committee which was regarding the non-performing assets. I'll tell you the great points now and you compare on your own. Now look, this is a topic which requires you to write some statistics. Otherwise the answer will never become impressive. You should know which banks are in heavy losses, which banks are making heavy losses, which banks are the worst performing, how much we need to revive the banks, what is the government doing, and what is our main scheme for that. So let me give you some great points. First, our non-performing assets, they increased after Modi came to power. Yes, believe it or not. So this is a bad news for all the bhakts, so-called the bhakts. The bad news is that the bad loans, they actually increased. So they were 5% of the total advances in the year 2014-2015. But last year, which was the second year of the governance of the NDA government, the non-performing assets increased to 9.5% of the total advances. Oh, that's a huge increase from just 5% to 9.5%. So almost doubled. So the non-performing assets doubled. Okay, so that's the first. Next, aggregate, if I combine the losses, so last year in 2015 to 2016, so the losses were 17,672 crore rupees at the aggregate level of the PSBs. And you very well know how many PSBs are there in India. So there are 27 PSBs which are there. Their profit, they were down from a profit of rupees 36,350 crore in 2014. And the Nifty for the public sector undertaking bank index declined from 4,419 in January 2015 to only less than 3,000 latest July 20, 2016. So this is some data. I don't expect that someone, anyone out of you would have written this data in your points in those 5 minutes. But mug this up, because I'm telling you something related to banking non-performing assets will come. And if you know any of these data, it will set you apart. It will set you apart from the crowd. Now I'll tell you which are the types of words which you should use. Start something like this. Management of stressed assets holds the key to profitability. Now I'm not telling you that you mug this point entirely up and use it as a quote or you use similar flowery language. No. But try to understand the meaning of this. management of stressed assets holds the key to profitability. So the lower the stressed assets, the higher the profitability. As simple as that. You reduce the bad loans and the banks will automatically become profitable. So what can the government do? What can the RBI do? So the first thing which they have done, big step taken by RBI, very, very gutsy. It is called Strategic Debt Restructuring Scheme. This is by the Reserve Bank of India. Reserve Bank of India has given the permission to the banks. Now let's say I am a bank, I am a government bank, PSB. Let's say I am, I am Bank of Baroda. I am Bank of Baroda and a company has come to me. The company has taken a 5,000 crore rupee loan from me and it has not paid me back. Now what can I do? What can I do? So I can do one thing. If the company has not met the framework, the guidelines, now I will not go in very deep because this is a very complex, issue. But I'll tell you conceptually, like what can be done. So the banks have allowed, the RBI has allowed the banks to occupy this company 51% or higher with the permission of the company. There will be a certain time which will be given to the company to decide whether it wants to sell itself temporarily to the bank or not. If the borrower or the company agrees, bank is the lender, it has lent the money, and the company is the borrower, it has borrowed the money from the bank. So the bank can take over the company for 18 months. 18 months, it can occupy a stake of 51% or more in the company. That is, it can convert the debt to equity. What is the meaning of equity? Equity means the ownership. For example, if the bank takes over 51% of the company, it means it has 51% equity. That is the meaning of equity or ownership. So the bank has converted its debt into equity in the company, and that is one way by which banks can minimize their losses. So for 18 months, bank will be the owner, and what bank can do therefore is try to make this company in losses, because why this company has not been able to pay the loan back? Because this is a company in loss. That is why. So the bank can change its management. That is called strategic debt restructuring. It can restructure the company, try to make it profitable, try to get the loan back. If it still can't do it in 18 months, then the bank can find a buyer and sell this company to this buyer and take its loan back, recover the loan. This is called strategic debt restructuring scheme. Now, another thing which bank can do. You must have heard that the banks are merging. Oh yes. Now, I will give you one example. State Bank of India, right? It is the biggest lender. It is the biggest lender, the biggest bank in India. State Bank of India, under the able chairmanship or chairpersonship of Arundhati Bhattacharya, SBI had two banks which already merged in it. One was the State Bank of Indore, another SBI, State Bank of Indore, and one was State Bank of Saurashtra. See, Saurashtra is other name for a part of South Gujarat, okay? State Bank of Saurashtra and State Bank of Indore, they are already merged in the SBI. Now the SBI has 5 associate banks like State Bank of Bikaner and Jaipur, State Bank of Travancore, banks like these. There are 5 associate banks and there is a bank called Bharatiya Mahila Bank. So these 6 banks, 5 SBI associate bank and Bharatiya Mahila Bank, they will get merged in the SBI. Now tell me one thing, how will the merger help the bank? I will tell you how the merger will help the bank. Number 1, bank will not need to open new branches because it can already use the branches of its daughter companies. By daughter company, I mean these 5 banks. See, these 5 banks are smaller, right? Very, very small compared to the parent SBI. So I am calling these the daughter branches. Okay, the daughter branches. So the bigger SBI will use its network. It will use the already opened branches of its daughters. For example, if SBI wants to, spread itself in Kerala, so it need not open its branch in Tiruvananthapuram, because Travancore is in near Tiruvananthapuram, so it doesn't need to open branch. It can use the existing branches of State Bank of Travancore. So this is one second point. When these banks will get merged, then their combined capital will increase. If their combined capital will increase, they will become very big entities. Therefore, they can compete with the private banks because they will have bigger capital pool now. There are 6 banks which are merging with the SBI. So just imagine the pool of the SBI. It will become even more bigger, and therefore they will be able to compete with the private players. And second, they will be able to fund the bigger projects and earn more revenue, because there is a condition in the banks can't give more than 15% of its of the funds available for more than one project. Now when the 6 banks merge together, then this 15% becomes bigger amount, and therefore they can fund big projects. Third, you know that the 27 banks are there and they are merging to form only 6 banks. That is what is being proposed by the Banks Board Bureau. What is Banks Board Bureau? I will come to it later. Now previously there were 27 banks. Now there will be how many banks? Only 6 banks. So what will happen? The competition between the government banks will decrease, which was previously benefiting the consumer. If there are lot of government banks, then these government banks are competing within themselves. They are not competing with the private players. So who is the beneficiary? Consumer. Now what will happen? The competition between the banks will decrease. As a result, it will not be the consumer who will be benefited, it will be the banks who will be benefited. So there are these reasons by which the mergers will help the banks. Of course, there are some points by which the merger, there are some disadvantages also, which I will not, which are not required, in this topic. So just for at your level, this much is enough. Now, Banks Board Bureau. So Banks Board Bureau is a very, very recent organization. It was formed only few months back. And its chairman, you must mention, is Vinod Rai. Very, very honest person. He was the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Very, very honest person. And he is the first chairman of the Banks Board Bureau. And the Banks Board Bureau was formed why? It was formed to revive the banks, to fill a new lease of life into the banks. So this is the recommendation, the merger of the banks. This is a recommendation by the Banks Board Bureau. Mention that. If the examiner sees these words in your essay, these strategic debt restructuring, Banks Board Bureau, well, 90% of the job is done. But I want you to develop understanding, and that is why I am taking the pain to explain you all these things. Now next, there is an international credit rating agency is the right word, called Fitch, Fitch, Fitch. See, there are 2 Fitch. One is the Indian Fitch, one is the global Fitch. I am talking about the global Fitch, not the India wala Fitch, okay? So the international credit rating agency Fitch, it has said that Indian banks need $90 billion. Do you have an idea how much money that is? It is like 7.5 lakh crore rupees. 7.5 lakh crore rupees is what Indian banks need if they have to meet the Basel III norms. And let me tell you, India is a signatory to the Basel norms, which means India has to follow Basel norms. Basel III, I hope you know Basel 1, Basel 2, Basel 3. Not very important, but you should have some idea. See, Basel is Basel is the place where Roger Federer was born in Switzerland. It is a place in Switzerland, and it hold a committee a meeting to protect the banks, to minimize the risks globally. And a lot of countries are signatory to the Basel rules. They are following the Basel rules. India is one of them. And India is compliant to Basel 3 norms. India has to follow the Basel 3 norms. By March 2019, it has to implement. And it has to implement. Banks can't be like, they are drowned or they are insolvent. No, they have to be liquid. And banks need $90 billion for that. 7.5 lakh crore rupees. Where will this money come from? This is the amount of money which the government of India has to infuse into the banks to revive them. Does the government of India have this much money? Does the government of India have $90 billion? No, it doesn't. In fact, this month, just 5 days back, the government has infused 22,000 crore rupees into the banks, into 13 banks out of 27 to revive them. So government will infuse little by little. That is called recapitalization. So the government is doing what? It is doing recapitalization into the banks. Government is infusing the money into the banks, and that mission is called Mission Indradhanush. Now look, there are two Mission Indradhanush, don't confuse. One is by the Ministry of Health. That is also called Mission Indradhanush. That Mission Indradhanush is for the vaccination. But the Mission Indradhanush which I am talking about is to reduce the bad loans, to reduce the non-performing assets. If you want more information on Mission Indradhanush, open the website of Ministry of Finance, or as always, click on the video Latest Government Schemes 2016 which I made 1 month back. It has all the government schemes till May. See that video. Now next is corporate debt restructuring. See, strategic debt restructuring, corporate debt restructuring, it's very similar. Just like strategic debt restructuring is done by the banks in the company, the corporate debt restructuring is done by the company in the company to reduce the loans, to make the company profitable, to change the management, etc. So it's very similar. Next, another thing which they can do, the public sector banks can do, is they can sell itself. For example, let me give you an example. Let's say there is any public sector bank. Now the government is owning 100% in it. Now let's assume that the government is owning 100% in the bank. So it can sell some of its part, and it will help in decreasing the losses. So it can sell, for example, 20% of the bank to a private company. So it can sell some stake in the bank to a private player. That is also one of the way by which banks can reduce non-performing assets. So these are some of the things which you should write, which you should, these are some great points as per my understanding. And well, rest, if some of you have written these, well and good. No, if not, this video will help you. Also, if you have some of your own points which you think are very relevant to this topic, go ahead. It's not like whatever I have written, that is the only thing. You can also feel confident about your own points and do some research. If you want to, find out more about Mission Indradhanush or anything else, just Google it and you will find a lot more stuff. Okay, coming to the next topic, politics of banning. You see, in India, now the government is in a bullish, mood. Not bullish mood, in a bully mood. It wants to dictate what to eat, what to wear, what to consume, what to ban, what to drink. So, government banned beef in a lot of states. There is a beef politics. Then in some states, liquor is banned. Very recently, a part of it was banned in Kerala. Then Gujarat, liquor is already banned. Then in Bihar, recently liquor got banned. So, what is this politics of banning? Does it actually work? Should it work? What are the things? What is to be taken care of? All these things. Write some points. Take 5 minutes. Write the points. Be honest. write on the basis of the knowledge which you already have. Don't Google, don't try to use internet. I want to see if any topic is given to you out of the box or out of the blue, what will you do? What will you do? So see you after 5 minutes. So welcome back, friends. I hope you have written some points. Now, when you talk about banning, there are two types of bans. See, one there is called blanket ban. Blanket ban means we will not tolerate anything. Complete ban, that is called a blanket ban. One is called selective ban. For example, in Gujarat, for example, you have banned the liquor. But tell me, will any hotel work without liquor in today's times? No. So the liquor is allowed in some 5-star hotels, and like that. So that is a type of selective banning. It is not a blanket ban. Okay. Then how does banning contradicts your right to choose? Isn't it, it's like curbing your freedom, compromising your freedom? Yes, in some ways, yes. You have a right to drink, but you can't because the government has banned it. And also, it is also an attack on your wisdom. For example, let's say you consume 1 glass of alcohol 1 month per month. Now that is not definitely not injurious to your health. That will not take away your health. So you might feel hard done by. You might feel that, okay, well, I'm a sane person. I'm not insane. I am a sane person. I'm a mature person. I can handle myself, but the government thinks otherwise. So these are some complex issues. So you can include things like these, that there is a government intrusion in my privacy, in my private life. Government is dictating what to drink, what to eat, what to wear, things like that. So let's see some great points. First, I will come to the beef ban, the politics of the beef. I think this is a very important issue because some 14 days back, lot of people were beaten because they were carrying the carcasses of the cow, the holy cow. And very recently, there is also news in Madhya Pradesh. There are some cow vigilante groups, right-wing groups, which will beat you up if you carry a cow. Okay, so I'll tell you some hard facts or some great points for beef ban. Now, first thing is cheap protein versus religious sentiments. Okay, religious sentiment, well, religious sentiment. Cow is considered as God. Some say it's a mother. Some say it's holy animal. Things like that. Because during the churning of the ocean in our Hindu mythology, there were 4 cows, and even the Lord Indra used to own a cow. So it has a very good religious significance in our mythology. Now, and also cheap protein. Let me tell you something. Beef is very, very cheap. Of course, I have not eaten, I am a vegetarian, but I can tell you it for a fact. In fact, beef costs 1/3 of mutton. So mutton is pricey, beef is cheap. And if it is cheap, it is eaten by whom? It is eaten by the Dalits. It is eaten by, now let me give you some facts. According to the NSSO data, there are 8 crore people in India who eat beef. Okay, 8 crore. And out of the 8 crore, 6 crore are Muslims. Okay, 6 crore are Muslims. So the population of Muslims in India is roughly 14 crore. So therefore, you can say that 40% of Muslims eat beef. Now, another fact. 1.6 crore Hindus eat beef in India. Yes, that's true. 1.6 crore Hindus eat beef in India, primarily in states like Kerala. You see, in Kerala, since very, very old days, Dalits and the so-called the lower caste Hindus, and they consume beef. For them, it is a very cheap source of protein. As I said, beef is very cheap. It is 1/3 the price of mutton. So if you are banning the beef, Where will these Dalits, what will these Dalits eat? Where will they get protein from? That is one question. Also, it reinforces the same caste barriers, because I am sure if the upper caste Hindus used to eat beef, it would never have been banned. So it is like a discrimination against the Dalits. Number one. Number two, the cow. It emerged as the personality of the year in the, it was the Yahoo's 2015 personality of the year, because of the incidents related to cow which skyrocketed in the year 2015. And also there was Maharashtra government's ban on beef, complete ban, although this is just a eye wash, nothing else. All the cows which used to be cut in Maharashtra are now getting slaughtered in Goa. So this is just a eye wash, nothing else. It's a political tool basically, as you saw in Dadri mob lynching. Now these shameless politicians or the right-wing Hindu groups, they don't mind the thousands of cows which are getting killed every day by consuming polythene bags in our streets. And let me tell you another fact. India is right now the world's largest beef exporter, not second. It is in fact the largest beef exporter right now. It has overtaken Brazil. Although there is this thing that, this year it is Brazil, next year it is India, but still it is in top 2. At any point of time, India is in top 2 countries which export the largest amount of beef in the world. So when a Muslim eats a beef, it becomes a political issue. But when a British person or a European person eats the same meat, it is not an issue. Now, what kind of a hypocrisy is this? When a Muslim is eating the cow, it is against the Hindu sentiments. But when the same cow is slaughtered and it is exported to a different country and the people are eating there, then it is not an issue. So the verdict is clear. It is just a political tool and nothing else. And there are 30,000 illegal unlicensed slaughterhouses in India. Why I'm telling you this is because let's say you do a blanket ban on beef. No Indian state will have access to beef. What will happen? What happens when there is a ban on something? There are gangs. The same thing is not done in open, in hygienic manner, but it is done below the table. It is done in a hidden manner. It is done slyly. It is done in a clandestine manner. And therefore, there are gangs. There will be illegal slaughterhouses. Already in India, there are 30,000 illegal, unlicensed slaughterhouses, which leads to unhygienic conditions, lot of diseases, etc. And therefore, all this you can write in beef ban. Now, one more tip I will give you. Let's say you are for beef ban, and I'm not saying you are wrong. Every person is entitled to his or her opinion. Let's say you support beef ban, okay? But when you write an exam, it's a different thing. You see, in a liberal society, in a liberal society, if you support something like beef ban, you will not be able to defend it. Doesn't matter how much it means to you. You will not be able to defend it, and the examiner expects of you that you are against the beef ban. So even if you don't, when we write an essay, we don't have to always write what we believe. Treat it as a question, okay? Don't get emotional. Treat it as a question. Your idea is just to get maximum marks, and it's not like you are hurting your religion, you are hurting your dharma, your life has become a waste that you have written for beef ban or against beef ban. Don't take it emotionally. You are there, your job is just to get a job and do something for your family, stand on your own feet, become something in life, and write anything that gives you marks, okay? So I hope. Now let's come to the liquor ban. See, as I said, if you ban something and if you think that it is banned, no, it doesn't get banned. And I'll give you an example. I've spent 2 years in Ahmedabad. I did my MBA from there. Now, everyone thinks that Gujarat is a dry state. In Ahmedabad, you can easily get alcohol. In any street you will get an alcohol. The only difference is that the same bottle which is 200 rupees in Delhi is 900 rupees in Ahmedabad. Although I don't drink myself, but I've seen my well, I don't want to say more because it might be an issue. So I've seen people buying alcohol in Ahmedabad, and it's very very open, very very rampant, and everybody knows it. Anyone who lives in Ahmedabad will know that wine is available. Similarly, in any state, if you see, it is available. The only difference is, since there is a risk in selling, so the price goes up. And there are gangs, even the police inspectors and the police, they are hand in gloves with the so-called these the gray market, the people who bootleg the alcohol in a state and things like that. So alcohol is banned in Gujarat, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Yeah, it works. I'll tell you, there is one advantage if you ban, and this I have personally seen. Now, the alcohol which used to sell for 200 rupees now sells for 900 rupees. So the poorest of poor don't have access to it. Only the middle class and the rich have an access to it. So the poor guy who used to come home on 100 rupees or 200 rupees daily wage, who used to beat up his wife to get the money and drink alcohol and just sell his house and things, these cases have reduced. The poorest of poor guy, it has become unaffordable for him. Also, when you ban alcohol, there is another disadvantage, that people sometimes try to make alcohol in their houses, what you call as poisonous alcohol, because they, instead of making ethanol, they make methanol and they drink it and they die. And that these incidences are therefore very frequent in Gujarat, and now they have reduced, but still odd case comes up here and there. So now Bihar has banned it, Nitish Kumar has banned it, and Kerala government banned it in parts. Now Bihar government, what are the challenges? See, in Bihar, liquor industry was the source for second largest revenue. In fact, Bihar government is losing an estimated 7,500 crore in revenue. So this is a loss of revenue to the government. So this is one challenge. Now they need to have another way. Then the people who were employed in liquor industry, suddenly they will come on road. There will be no employment for them. So the government, there is another challenge where to put these people into employment. And then there are the revenue problem, employment problem, and de-addiction. See, if someone is addicted to alcohol and you tell him that from tomorrow you will not get alcohol, then medically that is not good. Sudden withdrawal of anything is not good. So you should have de-addiction centers also. Now, whether there are enough de-addiction centers that are available is a challenge. So mention all these points, and I'll tell you one thing. If you get a ban on liquor or a ban on smoking, cigarettes, support it, because it is easy to support it than to not support it. And all of the things like my freedom of choosing, freedom of my freedom is compromised and things like that, they are only secondary to the health issues. Because when you write about alcohol banning will reduce the accidents, yes, that's a positive sign. It will improve the health, that's a positive sign. So the positives far outnumber the negatives. Therefore, if you get a question on smoking ban or liquor ban, always support it. Now let me come to a third very important topic, climate change. Pause the video, take 5 minutes, put down points, try to put down 10 points in climate change. It's a huge topic. You can write literally anything in climate change, but this is a sort of topic where there will be lot of average points, and lot of people will fall prey to that. So I will tell you how to score in this topic, and it's a great topic because this is a topic which is related to 1,000 other topics. For example, if you get pollution, well, write about it. If you get biodiversity, climate or weather, or drought, floods, whatever, just write about climate change, you will score marks. So if you are confident in climate change, you will have a very good grasp over a lot of topics. So welcome back. Now it is the time for you to compare, and let me tell you what are the average points. So the average points are, well, climate change, it is fatal to us. Humankind will end. Human beings will cease to exist. Earth will drown in water, and there will be ozone hole will get bigger and bigger, and the cars, they cause pollution, industries, they cause pollution, human activities, they cause pollution, and things like that. These are the very, very average points which even a 5th class child can write. Now let's come to the great points. See, the great points is, first you come to the cause. First you mug up a good quote from somewhere, open some website, Google some climate change quotes or something like that, or make up anything on your own and put a hyphen and write Chinese saying. That's it. Now you first write the cause. What is the cause? Cause is the human greed. Human greed. Now Mahatma Gandhi used to say that the earth has enough to satisfy man's need, but not enough to satisfy man's greed. This is a good point to start, and what we are doing, we want infinite economic growth, but we have finite resources, and that is the problem. We are aiming for infinite economic growth based on the consumption of finite resources, and that is the problem that is what leads to climate change. Now India, we have a forest cover of only 21%. Why only 21% of India's land is forest? We should be proud of it. No, we shouldn't be, because the international norm is 1/3. 1/3 of a country should be forest cover minimum. So 33% should be the forest cover. We are already behind by 12%. So in India, the climate change will be even more, because the forest cover is not supporting the population, and the population is 1.3 billion, 130 crore. So forest cover is already very less. And recently there is a book written by Amitav Ghosh on climate change. If you get time, read it, not because for the exam, but just for your own knowledge. And he makes a very important point. He says, why are we not paying attention to the climate change? And he's right, we don't. And I'll tell you the reason why we don't. Because number one, it doesn't affect us directly. You go to a supermarket and you tell the supermarket guy, I want to buy a packet of bread. Now the packet of bread was 20 rupees yesterday and today it is 40 rupees. It will suddenly pinch you. It will pain you. But if the forest cover is 21% and today it is it becomes 20.5%, it will decrease by 0.5%. It doesn't matter to you directly. You are still spending the same amount of money. Your lifestyle has not changed. So when there is no tangible change in your lifestyle, why will it matter to you? That is one reason. And this I am not saying, Amitav Ghosh is saying, who is a legendary author. And let me tell you other reason why we don't pay much attention to climate change. Because most of our authors, most of our literaturists, they are from the cities. And climate change is there in cities. I am not saying it is not in cities, but it affects the poor people more. And I will tell you how. Let's say you are in an area where there is air pollution. Now, air pollution means there are a lot of greenhouse gas. Greenhouse gas means there will be a lot of heat. Temperature will be more. You are a rich guy, you will be sitting in your AC house. Who will suffer? The rickshawala will suffer. The person who is driving the auto, he will suffer. Another reason. Let's say you are causing pollution. Okay. You are throwing the Uncle Chips packets in your street and you are very proud of it. Or you are throwing a Coca-Cola, this Kinley bottle out of your window of a car, in a moving car. You are throwing it and you are proud of it. Where will that go? That will ultimately go in a damp fill, in a ground fill. They will make a deep hole in the ground and they will put all the plastic in it. But where will this be landfill be? What will be the location of this landfill? It will be 40 kilometers away from the city, somewhere in a village, near a village. Who will suffer? You or the villagers? The villagers will suffer, as is being seen recently in West Bengal. In West Bengal, some villages are suffering because of arsenic poisoning. Arsenic poisoning. In a lot of cities, the village people are suffering. Why? Because they dump all the waste of the city near the village. They find a place near the village, outside the city somewhere, and whenever it rains, the rainwater carries with it the harmful toxins and it reaches the ground water table. And when a person from the village, he takes out the water from the well, then what happens? Then those toxins are in that water. So who is affected? The urban person sitting in his AC office or the person in the village? And most of these authors, most of these intellectuals, they are from the cities. So neither they are bothered nor the city people are bothered. And when we can't protect even our farmers, just imagine the kind of attention which a topic like climate change will get in our daily debates. You can see the most popular debate, okay, with more than 70% viewership is Times Now News Hour debate. Okay, take last 2 years, not a single debate on climate change on Times Now show, not a single. Yes, there was one or two debates, but even in those debates, the organization which is for climate change, Greenpeace, was attacked. It was termed anti-national. Why? Because it doesn't allow the projects to pass through easily. So this is the kind of journalism with respect to climate change. Now, this is to put the things in perspective. Now, let me tell you one data which, if you write, will make you look very intelligent. Climate change is likely to kill 250,000 people by the year 2030. And who is saying this? WHO, World Health Organization. And why will these people die? They will die because of diseases, malaria, diarrhea, disease, heat. Now you will tell me, how is climate change related to malaria? How is climate change related to diarrhea? Good question, very good question, and I'll tell you how. What is the meaning of climate change? First you tell me that. See, the meaning of climate change is that there are disturbances in the weather, disturbances in the climate. So if a place has, if a place never had a flood in its life, that will suddenly have a flood. If a place never had a drought, that place might have a drought. So let's say if in a place you have a drought or a flood. Now you know that Chennai, I am sure someone watching this video will be from Chennai. And Chennai last year had huge floods because of increased northeast monsoon, retreating monsoon, which attacks the Chennai coast. So Chennai was literally drowned last year for 1 month, 2 months. Whenever there is logging of water, there is breeding of mosquito. And if there is breeding of mosquito, there will be malaria, dengue, whatnot. So because of climate change, you will have health problems. Because of air pollution, there will be 130,000 deaths in India from climate change. This is a projection of by Oxford University, and this report was published in Lancet in this year's magazine. By 2050, there will be 130,000 deaths in the country from climate change. Now, I told you who is paying for climate change? The poor people. The poor people. And 1.6 million people in India, they die from air pollution alone. Air pollution gives them the diseases like asthma, like chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, lung cancer, and things like that. Do you know that of the 10 people who are getting admitted in Delhi for lung cancer, out of every 10 person, one person says, I have never smoked in my life. And a person who has never smoked in his life, never consumed the inhalable tobacco, how he is getting lung cancer? Tell me, how is he getting lung cancer? Only from air pollution. So every 1 out of 10 person in Delhi who is admitted for lung cancer in leading hospitals like Rajiv Gandhi Cancer Hospital in Rohini and all the best hospitals, they are saying that they have not smoked a cigarette. So they are dying because of air pollution. Now let me tell you some other technical great points. See, if there, then because of the greenhouse gases, the atmosphere will become hot. If the atmosphere becomes hot, then what will happen? The glaciers, our polar glaciers, the ice will melt and there will be rise in sea level. If there will be rise in sea level, then the island countries, they will be the first to get drowned. And that is why when there was this Paris Climate Summit in 2015 November, these were the countries that were shouting the most. The countries which are like Indonesia, the countries like, the island countries which are right in the sea, as the sea level will increase, they will get eliminated first. So there will be melting of glacier, there will be thermal expansion of the ocean due to increased temperature, there will be global warming, okay, greenhouse gases. And when you write about greenhouse gases, you write the name of a few: carbon dioxide, methane, chlorofluorocarbon, and things like that. Now, as I said, weather events will be there: heat wave, drought, floods. They are all because of climate change. Now tell me, is it related to the economic factors? Yes. Why? Because if there is a drought and if there is a flood, then what will happen to the food security? As you saw last year, monsoon was very, very weak. It may have been a result of climate change, and I am sure it was a result of climate change. So the farmers suffered the most. So there will be no food security, farmers will die. And I will link it to a social factor. Do you know that in West Bengal, there is a place called, I hope I am pronouncing it correctly, Sonagachi, which is the largest prostitution area, red light area in the entire Asia. Now, one reason I'll tell you: in 2009, in some parts of West Bengal, there was a cyclone called Aila. Because of this cyclone, lot of people were homeless. Their land was taken away, their houses were taken away, and they had to come from the coastal area towards the Kolkata and the central areas in West Bengal. And when they came there, since they had no food, since the women had no food, no land, nothing to survive, they took to prostitution. So you can even link the climate change to social factors. And this point I have taken from the book of Amitav Ghosh. This point. Because of Cyclone Aila, there was an increase in prostitution. Can you believe it? So, it depends on how you think. You can relate the points, and these are all real factors. These are not made up stories. You can mention about Chennai floods. See, it is always better to write Indian example. For example, you can write about the floods in Indonesia or tsunami and all, but when you write about the Indian example, they carry more weightage. So write about Chennai floods in 2015, and a lot of people were killed. A lot of people were killed because of diseases and things like that. And then which areas in India are getting threatened? See, whenever there is climate change, there is species extinction. Lot of animals become endangered, critically endangered. Lot of species get extinct, and there is a biodiversity loss. For example, the grasslands, the forests, the alpine ecosystem, reefs. India also has reefs. Yes, Lakshadweep Island is a reef island, coral island. Mangroves, the Sundarbans, all these ecosystems, they become endangered. For example, the wetlands in India, the wetlands. Do you know one big reason of Chennai floods was that there was a destruction in the wetlands, and the wetlands absorb a lot of water. So when there are no wetlands, who will absorb the water? So it will become a drain. So add points like these. Write that the hot spots in India. India has two hot spots: the eastern Himalayas and the western Ghats. Write that there will be lot of loss of the species, plant species, animal species, flora, fauna. They will get eliminated. And then end it on a positive note. As I said, your essay should never be linear. What are the positives you will write? India is now putting its attention to clean energy. As you know that India has made an alliance which is called Surya Putra. This was a word given by Narendra Modi. Surya Putra. It is an international solar alliance, and it was headed by India and France. India and France were the pioneers of this concept, and 121 countries have joined it so far. So these are all the countries which range between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. That is 23.5 degree north to 23.5 degree south. They lie in between this region, which is sunshine rich. So these countries can go for solar energy, and India has already invested huge amount in solar energy. In fact, in India, the solar power is crossing 7,000 megawatt now. India has crossed 7,000 megawatt, And the number one state in India right now is Rajasthan in solar energy. More than 1300 megawatt out of 7000 is from Rajasthan alone, because Rajasthan has a lot of sunshine. Rajasthan has the biggest desert in India, Thar desert, where the temperature reaches 50 degrees C. So there are a lot of desert districts in Rajasthan like Jaisalmer, Bardmer, these areas. And in these areas government are putting lot of solar plants, because agriculture is not possible because of the extreme temperature and desert area. So they are putting the solar plants. And then mention about the Paris Climate Summit, very very important. 195 countries, if I'm not wrong, they have signed this declaration. It was in last year in Paris. So conference of parties, also called COP21, and it was conducted by UNFCCC, UN, United Nations FCCCC. So this is their agency for climate change. And do mention that in this summit, all the countries said that they will try to reduce the temperature. They will not let the temperature increase by 1.5 degrees C. This is the limit, 1.5 degrees C. And in the pre-industrial phase, the temperature will not increase by more than 2 degrees C, and their target is 1.5 degrees C. And the countries who have signed this, they are legally binding, which means that if they don't follow the norms, then legal action will be taken against those countries. So I hope this climate change thing helped you. Now the next topic is agriculture issues. Beautiful topic, brilliant topic, and I'm sure it will also make you more confident. So again, 5 minutes, 6-7 points, and see you after 5 minutes. So welcome back. I hope you are taking as much pain as I am taking for you, and you have written seriously some good points in agriculture. Now I will tell you first what are the average points which you may have written. See, you may have written that India is not paying attention, farmers are committing suicide, we don't have enough to eat, we are poor, farmers are poor, we are dependent on monsoon and things like that. These are average points. Even if you want to write farmers are committing suicide, you should mention the statistics, because everyone will write farmers are committing suicide, but you should write how many farmers have committed suicide. So the rough estimate is 3 lakh farmers, 300,000 farmers have committed suicide in the last 20 years. And you can start with a quote. The quote is that, there is a quote like, don't forget to thank your farmer 3 times a day, because that's the, you eat 3 times a day. So you should thank your farmer 3 times a day, something like that, or make up your own quote or mug up some quote. And it is not necessary, it is not paramount that you start with a quote, it's your choice. Okay. So 3 lakh farmers have committed suicide in the last 20 years. Now the question is agriculture issues. So what are the issues with agriculture in India? Why are the farmers committing suicide? Why are the farmers not happy? That is the real deal. You see, there has been a shift. 10 years back, the people, they either knew the things or they didn't, right? The GK was very poor because the awareness was very poor. Social media was not there. The information was not there. So either people knew it or they didn't. Today, the difference is that everybody knows it. The difference is whether you know it in depth or you don't. So, the real quality, the difference is not between the quality or no quality. The difference is between less quality and more quality. That is the difference. So, for example, if you tell anyone to tell you some points about agriculture, he will surely tell you some points. The difference is in between that few extra, and that is the difference. Because what has happened is there is social media, right? Now let's say you are a average student who does not follow GK. Okay, all the important things some or your friend will share on the Facebook. So let's say you are not following the America elections, but you must have surely heard of Donald Trump, right? In previous days this was not the case. 10 years back there were 90% who would not have heard of Donald Trump, and I'll tell you, and I'll give you the proof for that. Ask anyone that who fought against Barack Obama. They will not be able to tell you that it was John McCain and John Kerry. John McCain and John McCain. Similarly, who fought against Bush? John Kerry. They will not be able to tell you these things. Or who fought against Obama the second time? So it was Mitt Romney. So people will not be able to tell you because that was a different time. But today, everybody has heard of Donald Trump. Why? Because he shared so much on the social media. So you have some idea, but you don't know in depth about his policies, his everything. So the difference is between less quality and more quality. So coming back to the topic, agriculture issue, I will tell you some topics in great depth in this. Okay, so keep your ears open. First is, why are farmers not happy? Okay, why are farmers not happy? See, one reason why farmers are not happy is because there is a lack of government support. There is a lack of government support. Now, when I say lack of government support, you will jump at me. You will say that, sir, there are so many schemes which are there for the government. There is soil health card, there is Krishi Sinchai Yojana, there is Krishi Bima Yojana and all these Yojana. Yes, look, these are all the, what you say, the paint, outside paint. It is like having a weak house, but painting it so that it looks beautiful. That's not the point. If fundamental, there is something wrong with our agriculture, that thing will always strike the farmers. And I will tell you all the things why our farmers are not happy, why they are committing suicide, what is wrong with the Indian agriculture. Now, so first thing I've told you, there is lack of policies with respect to farmer. Farmer is never the main person who is kept in mind while drafting the policies. And 3 lakh farmers have committed suicide in the last 20 years. See, 3 lakh is not a small number. It is just not a small number. Okay. Now I'll tell you the first thing. Manrega. You know what is Manrega, right? So the people in the rural areas who don't have any job, or they are given a certain number of guaranteed employment for a certain number of days. Okay, that is called Manrega. So they are able to earn their livelihood. And under the circumstances, Manrega is very important. There is no option. Otherwise, those people will commit suicide, or they will, go on a wrong path. What is the meaning of wrong path? They will become Naxals. They will pick up the arms, or they will go on some other route. So Manrega is an absolutely must thing for India. But Manrega does not cover farmers. Manrega is only for the unemployed and these. There are no farmers. It is not a policy for farmers. So farmers are out of this policy. That means farmers are not assured a certain income. And the problem is that 47% of India is into agriculture. Okay. So you can't guarantee the 47% of Indian population a certain sum of money. Where will that money come from for a developing and poor country like India? See, suddenly India has become poor. Now we talk about, the bullet trains and the glittering malls and our development story. This is the ground reality, that we can't feed our farmers. We can't provide even the basic security to the farmer. So this is number one reason why farmers are not happy, that they don't have a assured income. Okay. Then the second most important point is the minimum support price issue. See, farmers, they have minimum support price, but that minimum support price is really, really minimum. What is the meaning of this? From 1970, I will give you some facts, okay, which will broaden your understanding of current affairs. 1970, the minimum support price, okay, for 1 quintal of wheat was 70 rupees in India. Okay. In 1970, the minimum support price of 1 quintal of wheat was 70 rupees in India. In 2016, as we speak, the minimum support price of 1 quintal of wheat is 1450 rupees. Okay. That means it has increased by 18 to 19 times. I repeat, the price has increased by 18 to 19 times, the minimum support price. Okay. Now, during the same time, okay, that is a period of 46 years, the salary of politicians has increased by 125 times. The salary of teachers has increased by 90 to 110 times. The salary of government job people has increased by more than 100 times. And you can compare the salaries in 1970 to today. So, why are farmers left behind? Why are farmers not given that same thing? Going by the same amount of increase in other profession, the minimum support price for 1 quintal of wheat should have been 6,000 to 7,000 rupees for a farmer. The minimum support price which they have kept is really low. And I'll tell you one very important point about this. We are following the China model. What did China do? China pushed the farmers from the villages to the cities. Why? Because they wanted to create infrastructure. And if they wanted to create infrastructure, where will the cheap labor come from? It will only come when the farmers give up agriculture and they move to the big cities. That is what is happening in India. We are following the China model. What is the wrong with it? We are pushing the farmers into poverty so that they give up agriculture, they come to the cities, and they are a source of cheap labor. They work on daily wages. They help in construction of the big towers, big buildings, big malls. That is what is happening. Just imagine a city like Gurgaon, right? If where will Gurgaon get its labor from? One average worker, daily wage worker in Gurgaon, which is known for its big buildings, big malls and things like that, gets one worker there gets 200 rupees to 300 rupees per day. Okay, 300 rupees per day. If this thing would not have been there, that the farmers are happy in the villages, we are treating the farmers as entrepreneurs, we are increasing their income, who will come to the cities and work as laborers? No one will come. Because if the farmer's income is increased, no person will move out from the village. So this is the China model which we are following. That is why we are pushing our farmers into poverty. We are not taking any proactive steps. We want to convert Mumbai to Shanghai. And now what has happened is that China is struggling. Why? Because China's plan backfired. Now they thought, I repeat, China thought that first they will push the people from the village to the city. And after that, they will create the jobs in the cities for these people. Now, this happened only till there was construction. And now all the jobs from China are moving to Africa. This is what has happened. So, we don't want to create a situation in India where all the people are moved from the villages to the cities and then there are no jobs in the cities. Now they can't go back to the village. And this has been going on in India for a long time now. This is the model which we are following, the China model. It is disaster for farmers. Now, another thing, there is lack of government support to the farmer. See, in the last 12 years, okay, 48 lakh crore, 48 lakh crore, that is like $50 billion, more than that. This much amount of money, it is the amount of money. In fact, it is more than that. So it is 48 lakh crore. So it's much more than that. This is the amount of money which is the tax exemption subsidy given to the corporate industries. 48 lakh crore. See, the industrialists are the most pampered people in India right now. Let me tell you this. They are the most pampered. They are given the most subsidies, and farmers are always marginalized. They are given subsidies, but that is not enough. They need to be supported more by a minimum support price. They should be given more subsidies. They should be given more opportunities. We should and we must treat our farmers as entrepreneurs. And until that happens, nothing can benefit them. There is this thing that in India the productivity is less. We already produce more than needed. I'll tell you a figure. We need roughly 2400 calories and we are producing more than this. So our production is more, wastage is also huge. 50 to 60% food is wasted. So if we reduce the wastage, then we can give everybody food. And the poverty alleviation rate in India is one of the lowest. Poverty alleviation means how many people are coming out of poverty. So to suit their figures, what they do is they change the limit. So they push the limit lower so that more people are thought to be coming out of the poverty. I remember one report where, okay, I'll tell you a report from last year. This is a NSSO report. In fact, this is the 2016 economic survey. So I will tell you some very important things which you can write. 2016 economic survey says that there are 17 states in India out of 29. There are 29 states in India. Out of that, 17 states are where the income of the farmers is 20,000 rupees per year. Now, if you calculate that, if you divide it by 12, it will come to approximately 1650 rupees per month. And let me tell you, this is not the surprising part. Surprising part is this, that the report says if you earn 2000 rupees in a village, okay, and around 8000 rupees in a city, I'm not sure what the actual figure is, but it is around 8000 rupees in a city, then you are in the top 5% of the country. That is the shocking part. Now just imagine if you are in a village and you are earning 2000 rupees per month, then you are in the top 5% in India. Just imagine about the lower 95%, what is their status. So the poverty alleviation rate is one of the lowest. GDP is one of the highest because the rich is getting richer, but the poor is getting poorer, and that is why the poverty alleviation rate is one of the lowest. Then there are climate issues with respect to agriculture. This is also an issue. For example, one of the biggest causes of pollution in Delhi is the crop burning. Burning of the crop, burning of the chaff, burning of the agriculture waste. That is also one of the biggest, issue of agriculture. So, and of course, then you can mention about the weather. Weak monsoon, we are doomed. Too much monsoon, again we are doomed. So it has to be just right. We are dependent on rainfall. There is no assured farming. There is no assured irrigation. All these issues you can mention. There is exploitation of farmers and things like that. They don't get loans easily, and huge interest are charged on loans, which forces them to commit suicide. So all of these can be written, but make your essay worthy of reading. Make your essay with a lot of good statistics, good points. And another important data: 41% of pollution, 41% of emissions in India are from agriculture plus livestock, which includes livestock. So let me tell you, even World Health Organization says that if you become vegetarian, it will help the environment. I'm not saying it for ethical reasons and all those moralistic reasons that I don't believe in, but I'm saying because it takes it creates a lot of greenhouse gas to develop a livestock. For example, let me give you an example of a cow. You rear the cow for milk. The lifespan of the cow during the cow's life, it will give out a lot of carbon dioxide. It is an animal after all. It will consume oxygen. It will give out carbon dioxide. So like that, when you rear livestock, it creates a lot of emissions. So agriculture plus livestock, the total emission is 41% emission in India are from agriculture and livestock. This is another issue with agriculture. Now there are other challenges also with agriculture, now what farmers are doing, they are getting increasingly dependent on the transgenic crops, on the genetically modified crops like BT cotton, BT brinjal, the bullet rice and things like that. So they create a lot of problems. They create a lot of problems because once you grow a genetically modified crop inside a soil, then that soil becomes unfit for use for any other crop. So these are some other issues, and use of pesticides, which is ruining our health. So we should embrace organic farming, end it on a positive note. And let me tell you, there's a very famous agricultural scientist called David Pimentel. He is from Cornell University, America. And he says that out of the and he has proved it by his research. This is a well-known fact. If we use 100% pesticide, 99% of it goes into the atmosphere and only 1% goes to kill the pest. So the 99% pesticides, they go into the atmosphere, and only the 1%, they go inside the pest. So that is also one of the fact. So again, climate change, link it to agriculture, how climate change is also one of the disastrous feature for agriculture. Write about genetically modified crops, write about BT brinjal, write about transgenic crops, and you will have a very good essay.